Today I'm talking with Jack Cotton, a top agent at Sotheby's International Realty, famous for his success and perspective in luxury real estate. He's the author of 3 best-selling books on luxury real estate. Jack specializes in the representation of discriminating buyers and sellers of premium properties in and around Cape Cod. We'll talk about how he got there and how he does it. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast is to share knowledge for realtors and raise awareness for Give Back Homes, where real estate professionals work together for social good. Jet Centers Aviation, Bentley Atlanta, Legends Global, thank you for your sponsorship. So everybody, today we are talking to Jack Cotton, luxury real estate agent in Cape Cod and also a trainer and coach in luxury real estate, Atlanta. It's Sotheby's International Realty. I have engaged with Jack Cotton and been following you, Jack, for quite some time to improve my personal luxury business, and we're very excited to have you today. Are you ready to get started?
It's fun to be here. I cannot wait to get started.
Great, me too. So tell us this, before we get started, fill in the blanks a little bit on that introduction. Tell us a little bit about you and your personal life.
Oh, my personal life, that would bore everybody. But anyway, I have...
All right, go ahead.
I think your listeners might be interested to know that this being 2016, it's been more than 42 years for me in the same business. I started in my college dorm room. 1974, May of 1974. This is all I've really ever done.
Which is unusual. Usually people fall into real estate and right back out, or fall into it after they figure out they don't like the corporate world. So,
I know, they come here from something else, which is all well and good, but I knew from an early age that I would be doing this. In fact, I've heard stories about the delivery room when I was born. And the doctor held me up to the light. I was hanging it upside down, taking in the world for the first time and looking around the room. And then he slapped me. You know how they slap babies on the behind back? They did it a lot back in those days. Then he actually slapped me again. And then he actually gave me a backhander. Then he practically threw me into my mother's lap and said, "Congratulations, it's a realtor."
I was going to say, that explains everything.
Yeah, doesn't it? And that's why, we all get slapped around in the market all day long, and we keep coming back with a big smile and ready for another great day in real estate. It was used to it from an early age.
So how did you know, what was it really that you knew from such an early age that you did want to be a real estate agent? And how did you, and so many people, I feel, come into a place where they kind of do it as a last resort, and you did it as something that you wanted to do and figured out early on it was what you wanted to do. Tell us how that came about.
Well, I grew up in Cape Cod. It was very backward, quiet, backwater place in those days. And my family turned into one headed by a single mom and 2 sisters. Hand-me-downs were something I'll talk about sometime. But anyway, things weren't always 100% hunky-dory in those days. That's all I'm good at that. Anyway, because Cape Cod was a new place being developed all over the place, there were homes being built all around everywhere I looked, and I had an endless supply of leftover wood, scrap wood, all kinds of wood. And I would build houses. First of all, I would spend hours watching the guys build these houses in my neighborhood, and then I would take all the leftover scrap wood and I would build houses in trees, under trees, in the woods, on fields. I'd build houses everywhere. And there was something about the fact that when I was having a bad day or a bad moment or a bad whatever, that when I would just go into my own space and I would look around the little crudely built thing that I had built, and the sunlight would filter through the cracks in the boards and light up the grain in the opposite walls, and I could smell the fresh cut smell of the wood, and slowly but surely all would become right with my world. And that's a feeling I've never been able to get away from.
Wow.
The whole idea of your home is your shelter, your space, your oasis in a storm of life, and how important it is to our very being. And I can't not get away from that. So I knew I always wanted to be in the business in some way, shape, or form. I learned that I could not be a builder because I would lose money with every house I built. So it just made sense to help people.
Right.
It just made sense to help people find and sell their dream homes on Cape Cod. There's just been something I've always wanted to do. I went to college and majored in finance. Back in those days, I'm so old, there was no real estate classes in college in those days. So
wow.
I just learned everything ancillary to the business and took real estate classes to get my license. There was a brief time in Massachusetts when they lowered the drinking age and the age of majority to 18, so I was able to get a broker's license at a pretty early age before I was 21.
Wow.
And I just started a real estate company in my last year of college.
Wow. So you started your own brokerage basically. And
yeah, and when we were talking before, you said, what's the biggest mistake you ever made in real estate? And the biggest mistake I ever made in real estate was not working for somebody else first. Because when I was 21 and I started this thing, I knew everything. You couldn't tell me anything. I was an expert in everything. What do you mean you have to go work for someone else to learn the business? I know all there is to know about real estate. You just get a listing, you put a sign in the yard, you put an ad in the paper, the house sells, and then you say next. And so what do I need to learn anything for? I know it all. So that's what I did. I started the real estate company in my dorm room.
Wow.
And my father, who was, in and out, but anyway, he had a plumbing supply business, and he had a warehouse as a part of that business. And I had a desk in the corner of his warehouse. I had toilets stacked up on one side of me, and I had all kinds of pipes stacked up on the other side of me. And we shared a phone. When the phone rang, I never knew if somebody was calling to buy a piece of pipe or a house. And it was so pathetic, Jere. It's just so totally pathetic that I used to make my own signs. And don't forget that we're talking 1974. There was no word processing. There was no desktop printing. There was no
MLS on the internet.
No, you bought sticky letters and you stuck them on masonite. I mean, it was really, really sad. It's a miracle. But I used to make my own signs. It was really something else.
And this isn't on my list of questions, but I'm dying to know, how did you, it was really built, you were really wired to do this because you were, I fell into this because it was kind of an obvious thing to do and it was a set up business for me, but it was nothing like that when you got into it. I mean, people didn't even study it in college. So how did you find the career and no, you didn't build houses and there's obviously a lot of risk in that, but how did you find it and know that this is how did you know to even pursue it?
Well, because I had that whole feeling thing ingrained in me from the early age of building my little houses. And, my little houses that I built, I cannot tell you how much security and safety and such a great feeling of well-being I had when I was in my own little space. And that is just something I've never been able to shake. And we'll go back to that in a second, but I'll fast forward, decades ahead. When I sold my company to Sotheby back in 2005, one of the first, you get this big pile of money. But one of the first things I purchased with part of that money was a tree house from California. And I actually bought the tree that went with it. And I had it shipped across the country in an 18-wheeler and I had it set up in my front yard so that every day that I go to work, I pass my little tree house, which costs more than my first house, by the way. But anyway,
have you met the treehouse master yet? You've got to get him to come over and build you another treehouse.
This guy, that's who this is. It's called Daniel Woodman. He builds tree houses out in California. Then you can ship them, and we shipped it and have it set up. And so every day I go to work, I pass my tree house on the way out the driveway, and I am reminded of why I love this business, why it's so important, why people need me to do what I do, and it helps to keep me grounded at the same time. For me, this is not a career, it's a calling. And I know that sounds corny and weird.
I love it. That's probably why so many people hire you, because if being passionate about what you do, it attracts people to you. It's who you are. You're not, clearly you've got to do it for the money. You're in it, or when you started that way, but it was also, just like you said, your calling and something you felt. And I think in people who are getting into real estate and growing a business, or in real estate and growing their business and coming to that point where I've kind of hit what seems like a glass ceiling is, well, where's your passion? Is your passion still in it?
Where's your passion?
Every time you tap into that, go ahead.
You can't really see it as a means to an end. You have to see it as the beginning, the middle, and the end. It has to be real estate. You do very well in real estate. You have a passion for it. You think about it. You sleep about it. You think about it when the last thing before you go to sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, maybe even wake up in the night thinking about marketing ideas. You are passionate about real estate because, and that's what you have to be successful, because people need to feel that energy that you exude in order to want to hire you to make the most expensive purchase or sale they'll make in their lives.
Exactly. Isaac's with us. He's in charge of the media for this podcast, and he's laughing because he's the big part of my marketing, and I drive them crazy because I constantly have new ideas about how we're going to promote the next house better and the next story and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right.
Well.
Exactly. It's that finding that love and passion for it. So go ahead.
It's more than just showing up. It's more than just showing up. I mean, showing up is a big part of it, but you have to show up excited. You have to show up with passion. You have to show up with enthusiasm. You have to show up with a drive to help people get a better life through the real estate they buy and sell.
Exactly. And it's something about this business. There's a perception in this business that we're in it for the deal and the commission. But when you get into it and you do it and you meet the people who are really good at it, it's anything but that, because if that were it, they wouldn't still be here.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your path in real estate. You started in 1974 out of college, and you went, or in your college dorm room, and you went from that to 2005. You sold for a good bit of money your company to Sotheby's International Realty, and you are probably the best known name in our company and agent in our company for coaching, training, and the magnificent homes you sell in Cape Cod. How did you get from the dorm room making your own signs to 2005 selling your company to Sotheby's to where you are now, being, over a decade later, being so renowned in the business?
You know what? I really wish I could tell you it was a carefully laid out, thought out, designed plan that I followed to the letter and it all just happened. But I have to tell you that a lot of it was, a little bit accidental. But here's the thing. When I started out, obviously I was very young, 21. I looked like I was 14. And if you
that was good for business.
Then, yeah, great. Yeah, great. Because everyone else had great hair or no hair. And lots of experience and a long track record. And here's a stupid kid. And a lot of people in my town knew me, and they're like, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I'm going to list my house." I remember him. He's an idiot. I'm not going to list with him. But anyway, so what I had to do was I quickly realized that if I was going to compete with these older practitioners, these experienced practitioners, I needed to find a way to level the playing field, because people didn't. You would never list with me if you saw me back then. So basically what I did is I discovered that I needed to become an expert. I really need to be perceived as an expert.
Yes.
Become an expert is one thing, but then people have to know that you're an expert. Now, understand back then, there was no such thing as a CMA. I mean, we're talking prehistoric days in real estate. I mean, we had the alphabet. We had all 26 letters in the alphabet. We actually had the letters C, M, and A, but no one ever strung them together into a CMA. So basically, people would walk into a house with their hands in their pockets and they'd say, "Yeah, you can put your house on the market for X." And for me to compete with that, I would do a full narrative appraisal. I took all these appraisal classes to become perceived as an expert. So I would do. We didn't know what the word CMA meant. Letters they weren't strung together yet. So I would just do these 40-page narrative appraisals. Now you have to understand something else. There was no word processors. There were no computers. There was not even IBM Selectric 2 typewriters yet with liftoff ribbon. All we had was a Remington typewriter, and I had to buy one that typed in script because I couldn't afford one that typed in regular type. I had to buy one that typed in script because I couldn't afford a good typewriter. And so these things were all hand typed. It was ridiculous. And you could there was no such thing as a photocopy. You had carbon paper. So in other words, it was a lot of work. And people liked that. And what happened was, and this is what I tell people who are breaking into luxury real estate, who are in a certain price range, they want to break into a higher price range, is to take what I did and just speed it up, because it took me too long, actually.
Exactly.
Because I was figuring things out, trial and error. But number one is become seen as an expert in your market. Become an expert in markets and value.
You just said three things. Number one, become an expert. Number two, find something that you do that no one else is doing. And number three, be innovative.
Yes.
You are an expert.
Number two is easy. Yeah, number two is easy, because really what I'd say on I would just rephrase number two slightly to find out what the other people do and turn it around and do the opposite.
Flip
so
it.
For example, people, I call it a SWOT analysis. You've heard of a SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I do SWOT analysis, SWET, strengths, weaknesses, everything they do is the E, and T, turn it around. So everybody walks in and gives a number off the top of their head. I turn that around and make it a full-blown narrative appraisal of their house. And so become an expert. And then number two is let people know that you're an expert. Become perceived as an expert. That's the cornerstone of being successful in this business in general and to being successful in luxury real estate specifically.
So give us the SWET again, SWET. Strengths.
Strengths, weaknesses. E stands for everything they do. What do they do? Well, they do CMAs up the top of the head. They don't do CMAs, or they don't show their own listings, or they don't cooperate with other brokers, or they hire a stager. And then I turn all those around and turn them into USPs for myself.
So strengths, weaknesses, and the next one was for E.
Everything they do. E is everything they do. And T is turn it around.
Turn it around.
Now I had to use. So E is maybe not the best thing to use, but otherwise it would have spelled SWET, and that's what I wanted. So anyway.
Oh, I love that. That's great. And I've heard you talk about the staging and how you come in and talk about rather than the fact that you have the ability to stage, and you can elaborate on it and articulate it a little better than I can, as opposed to having bringing others in, has actually been a strength that you've been able to give agents, especially agents breaking into the luxury real estate agent, to be able to position themselves as their what was perceived as a weakness becomes a strength.
Well, actually, yeah, because in my market, my competition all has they have stagers. They all get this great stager. She's going to transform your house. Oh, you're going to love staging. And so I'm not that smart, which is probably one reason I do so well in real estate. It's a great job for people like that, right? So I had to go look up staging. I had to go look up the word staging in the dictionary. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. And I looked up the word staging, and I saw things like manipulative, fake, unreal, contrived. And I started thinking that that's not really what people want in the high end. They're very smart people. If they can afford a second home in Cape Cod, they're not dumb people. They don't want to be played. They don't want to be manipulated. So I'm going to turn staging around, and I'm going to become a market preparation expert. Because if I'm going to compete with you, you're going to hire a stager. I'm going to go out and find a better stager, and then you're going to get a better stager, and then I'm going to go find Martha Stewart somewhere and bring her up here and pay her my whole commission to stage the house. And I'm not going to make any money doing that. So how can I compete with you with a stager except by becoming a market preparation expert?
Totally.
So I've created this checklist. And the way I sell my checklist to sellers, truthfully, is that I've built this checklist over my career, watching the reactions of people from buyers when they walk in the front door of a house, noticing what makes their eyes light up and noticing what makes them glaze over. And I've made a 52-page checklist that'll help you prepare your home for sale, to help people fall in love with your home without making it contrived, without making it fake, and without manipulating anyone. They can actually more easily fall in love with your property. I think if you follow all the advice on my checklist, you're going to get 2 to 4 points more sales price.
And I love it.
Absolutely not. I just believe it in my soul.
And that's another great thing that you do is justifying your commission on, X is my commission. In most markets, I think it's 6%. And I'm going to tell you, here's a breakdown of how I'm going to increase your sales price by 12 or 15 points by this outline list of things that I do.
Right. We really can't talk numbers about commission, but I'll just tell you that the biggest mistake that agents make is that, and I think you're probably as ADD as I am, to jump it all around, but that's okay. I'll do this. Agents go in there and they think they have to sell the entire commission. So what do you charge? And they say, well, we charge X%, and they sell the whole thing. Understand that I try to teach this to my agents all the time, the one that's in my company, that you're not selling the whole commission. We're selling the 1 point difference between our commission and the competitor's commission. To me, it's a point of pride to be the most expensive realtor in the marketplace, to charge the highest fee in the marketplace. But it's only 1 point difference. I'm not selling the whole thing. I'm only selling that 1 point. So if I can have 4 or 5 USPs, that each one translates into 1 to 4 more points of selling price, that 1 point goes away.
So we talked about your biggest mistake, which it's funny that mine was exactly the same. And I tell people all the time, I could have gotten so much further if I'd started by working with someone who knew what they were doing instead of making and learning from all my mistakes the hard way. What is something that, and you've got so many, is there one thing as a real estate agent that you are most proud of that you've accomplished in all your years in the business?
Well, you know what? In my market and around the country and all the places I talk, there are people who are better marketers than me, they're better negotiators than me, they're better prospectors than me, they're better schmoozers than me. They're better at everything in the business than me. But I have this one question that I ask myself throughout the day. In fact, it's a question that guided my whole company and got my company to the point where Sotheby's wanted to buy it. And this question is a great one because whenever you have a situation, whenever you have a fork in the road, whenever you have two choices or ethical dilemmas that you're trying to decide how to handle, I find that whenever you ask this question, it answers every other question. The question is, what is in the best interest of the client? And I think I am better at answering that question and following the answer to that question than anyone else in my marketplace. In fact, I know I am. Because it's easy to talk about, I can do that, but so many people can't do that. You have an offer from your own buyer for $1 million and your co-broke agent has an offer for $1.2 million. Which one are you going to push to your seller? You're going to push the one that's better for the seller, which is not the one that's better for you, for example. So that really is my one point of difference. And I never, on a listing presentation, I never compare myself to the competition. I never, as much as I want to, diss my competition. I never disparage my competition as much as I'm sick of all these rotten things about them in my mind. I never mention them because luxury is beyond comparison. I mean, think about this. Have you ever seen an ad anywhere where Rolls-Royce talks about how crummy Bentleys are?
Luxury is beyond comparison.
It stands on its own. Yeah, it's beyond comparison. So I never talk. If I know my competition does something, I'll just talk about what I do and make a strong point that this is how I do it.
This really important to remember.
And this is why I think it brings more value to you.
Well, and I think to that point, I love luxury is beyond comparison. It stands out on its own. And to the other point is something, I don't know where I've gotten this, but anytime anybody has anything negative to say about me, it's, hey, any publicity is good publicity. The minute you bring up your competition, no matter what you're saying about them, the fact that they were worth bringing up is a compliment to them and not to you. And it's so important. It's so tempting in our business, as you said.
Oh, it takes all the willpower in the world to not say all the stuff you want to say.
I'm so with you on that sometimes. So what is, you've been in business for a long time, and over the years, you probably would, well, here's the question. Over the years, has it changed where your business come from? What is your best source of business now? And has that changed over the years from 1974 to 2016 now?
Well, sure, because in 1974, I had no business. It took me over a year. It took me over a year to sell my first house. I don't know anybody who has a worse starting out track record than I had.
I think it was 14 and a half months, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something crazy. But so anyway, what's different? Well, today my business is pretty much repeat and referral. People, I keep getting all these calls, from like, this company, that company. Oh, we can get you more leads. We can get you more of this. We can get you more of that. I'm like, I'm trying to get rid of them. I don't even want.
Exactly.
Why would I want more leads? So, but back then, and this is good advice for someone who's breaking in, I, by accident, found what I call the maverick in my market. So when I tell people about breaking into real estate now, I tell them to look for the maverick in their market. By that, I mean, who is the person who's a potential seller? And I really gear a lot of my conversation towards sellers. That's where I specialize. But who is the person in your market who has a lot of money, who has great real estate they need to sell, but they go a little bit against the grain? They don't really want to be told what to do. They really don't want to follow the path that anyone else follows. They really want to take the road less traveled. And in my case, my maverick was a widow. She was married to an attorney who was in a big law firm, and she was of a generation where women are always told what to do and where to do it and how to do it and don't ask questions. And all of a sudden she was on her own and everyone's telling her what to do, including who to hire to sell her beautiful waterfront property. And she was sick of that. And our paths crossed. And she was a maverick. She wasn't going to go to the typical well-worn path. She was going to take a chance in this goofy, long-haired kid. And I can imagine the stuff she was hearing from other people in her sphere of influence. Like, are you nuts? But she was the maverick, willing to take a chance on a new person, on an audacious person, someone who didn't have a track record. And on my side of it, having grown up in a pretty dysfunctional family, never really knowing my grandparents, I adopted her as my grandmother, treated her like a grandmother, and totally looked out for her and just did everything I could to protect her and help her make a great real estate transaction, my first waterfront transaction.
Wow.
And that grew to where I became the favorite among widows, and there were tons of them. And I adopted every single one of them. I treated them. I knew what it was like having grown up in a single mom household back when it wasn't the norm. We were the only ones that I knew of. And I knew, we discussed about, how my mom got paid less at the bank than the guy in the next teller window because she was a woman, how she got paid less at his other job because we knew all this stuff. It was, we weren't crusaders. We weren't up there picketing or anything. We just knew it was there. And so I think I had a different perspective when I was dealing with women, especially, and widows, and treated them with dignity and respect and honored them. And as a result, really built my business that way. And
wow. So find your maverick and give them what they're looking for. But so in finding your maverick,
they stand up. They stand out. For example, I went to a house one time a couple of years ago. I'll be very careful so I don't divulge any or break any confidences. But one of the coolest things of the property was a barn. And I don't know what she spent building this barn, but like millions of dollars. I mean, it had heated tile floors. It had natural finish raised panel wainscoting. It had natural finish hand-tuned beams. It had cast bronze hanging light fixtures with bright white halogen lights. Well, in the middle of the car part of the barn, bathed in the white halogen light, was a brand new, highly polished, waxed, like brand new Subaru Outback.
Right.
So she has this $3 to $4 or $5 million barn in where she parks her Subaru. That is the sign of a maverick. That's the person who will take a chance on a new person. That's the person who doesn't like to be told what to do. That's the person who will take the road less traveled and try out the new audacious agent in the marketplace and give them a shot. And that's what you have to look for. They're hiding in plain sight.
Wow, that's great. And it's when you say that, I think of some of my first clients, especially in the multi-million-dollar properties, and they were all mavericks.
Yeah, they were willing to take a chance. But they sensed your energy, and sometimes even saw themselves in you.
Exactly.
And and they were willing to take a chance with you. And they were glad they did, and then they sent you more referrals.
So, do you think you attracted those mavericks, or did you go out and find them, or was it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
So,
it was a little bit of both. I wish I could say I was that smart, but it really wasn't.
I think, I think when I started really tapping into it, I was aware of the properties, and I think the ones I went after all of them, and it was the mavericks that always hired me. So, changing the topic, I think we talked about this a little bit, but we'll tap into this a little more. Well, actually, and this is a great question to ask you. You did talk a little bit about this. You started out with your own company. And the question is, because you started with your own company and you ended up selling your company to Sotheby's. So what would you say about, does the company or broker you work with matter? Why and what about it matters, and how important is it?
I think the company you're with matters because you're judged by the company you keep. So I couldn't imagine, I don't want to make anybody mad, but I just couldn't imagine working with a company other than Sotheby's. People are always trying to sell me franchises and trying to get me to do this and trying to get me to do that. And it's like, they're all great companies. They're wonderful people. I have great friends that belong with them. But for me personally, I just can't imagine being with another company besides Sotheby's. Their brand is stellar. Their ethics are stellar. You know what? Having a brand and living the brand is becoming more and more unusual in this world. There's some great names out there, and not every great name can maintain the brand history that they have. There's a brand heritage that they have. And I think Sotheby's is still doing that, and that's what I'm thrilled to be a part of them.
And you become who you're around. I was with another company for the first 7 years of my career, and now I've been with Sotheby's for 6 or 7 years. And I literally, it was not conscious. Each day I changed a little bit, and who I was. I'm the same person, but how I conduct business I've not even consciously been aware of the things that have changed about the way I do business, except that they're just exponentially better. And the convention.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
When I was you go first. We're interviewing you, so you go. What were you going to say?
No. I was just going to say, Sotheby's is Sotheby's. Sotheby's is the pinnacle, but then your particular Sotheby's with Jenny Pruitt and David are just as good as it can be. It just doesn't get any better.
It's truly
she is an icon. She's a force of nature.
Truly is. She truly is.
Just absolutely taking the best company on the planet and taking it to the highest level that's even imaginable. She's in a class by herself.
You're absolutely right, and that's back to my point of how much it's even affected my business. And so it's talking about the company. You are the company that you keep. You are who you're around.
Have you noticed how you feel on a day when you picked up the right outfit, everything's coordinated perfectly, and your hair, you have a good hair day, and you go out into the world, you're feeling great because everything worked that day, everything clicked, and just because you feel good about yourself that day because of the way you look and the way everything came together, you just have a better day. Well, that's what happens when you work at a company like ours, because every day is a great day because
it's so true.
The whole thing just rubs off on you, and you feel great about yourself because you're the best company on the planet for real estate. And it just exudes in everything that you do.
True.
People sense that passion.
It's so funny. And this isn't a Sotheby's commercial, but it's to elaborate on that because I relate to it so much is two things. When I came to Sotheby's, I came from another company. I wasn't unhappy. I came to Sotheby's because of the services, or Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's International Realty, because of the services that were here, because it was a better location and it just had better services and it suited my clients better. And I got here and I didn't realize until I got here, it suited me better and made me a better agent. And then to go into our international conventions every year, I used to go to conventions just to learn, and I'd go to learn, take the classes, thanks a lot, go to bed, because, the environment wasn't appealing, but the information was there. You go to a Sotheby's convention and every single agent I come across is somebody that I want to get to know better, and somebody that I want to spend time with, and to be in that kind of an environment, and somebody I feel is genuinely interested in me, not just out to get the referral, and to be in a company with a culture like that, an environment like that, has been hugely impactful on who I am as a person and the kind of business that I'm able to conduct.
Perfect.
So on that, what has been your biggest aha in this business, or in this business? What's a great example of you thought it was one way and then something's happened and you were like, you know what, that's not the way it is at all. This is how it really works.
Well, my biggest aha is basically summed up by Zig Ziglar expression, which is basically, you can get anything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want. And basically, if you have this whole servant mentality of helping people get what they want and do it with blinding loyalty and integrity, you will get more business. Just will follow. If you can forget about the money part and not even look at the money until the deal is ready to close and to fill out your paperwork for your payment, and just solve people's problems, help them get where they want to be, everything else will take care of itself.
It's so true.
And so luckily it didn't take all that long. I mean, I think I'm very fortunate in that I've always had a really bad memory. And but I've also,
you say you forgive easily because you just can't remember. Is that what you're saying?
I just forget stuff. And I also have a really bad stomach. Like anything that goes wrong anywhere, I'm sick to my stomach instantly. So that sort of enforced the two of those things together. I can't keep stories straight except the right story. And if I try to do anything but the right story, I'm going to get sick to my stomach. And so it's just so much easier to do it this way.
Oh, that's so true. But this is a
and more
business
helpful too.
this is a business that's pretty intense and stressful, and it's a lot of emotion in it. How do you handle that, being someone that doesn't handle things not going well? I guess in knowing you're doing the right thing, or
because understanding the different roles. For example, when I was the manager of the company before, I went back to being an agent, which is just basically this year. I used to compare myself to a maitre d' in a restaurant. So my job was when clients came in, I would make them feel welcome. If I saw clients in a conference room with an agent, I would knock on the door and stop in and say hello and make sure everything's okay and do meeting thing. And you really are in great hands here with my friend Joan, your agent. And then I would go on the tours and I'd shake hands with them and thank them for listening with us. And just really compared it to a maitre d'. Well, if you think about the really great restaurants around your area, there's two levels of service you can have. You can have great service, or you can have hospitality. Well, great service is when you do something for someone. Hospitality is when you make somebody feel a certain way. So we've always worked at giving or exuding hospitality, not so much serving people, but providing service to people, but making them feel a certain way, which is at home while they're finding a home, at home while they're selling a home. Hospitality is how you make someone feel. It's like the platinum rule compared to the golden rule. The golden rule is great. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The platinum rule is do unto others as they want to be treated. Treat people the way they want to be treated.
Exactly. And on that hospitality, people remember how you make them feel. And they don't, it's not until people know how much you care that they care how much you know.
Right, exactly.
What is the one, which you've kind of answered this, but I'd still love for you to elaborate on it. What is the one thing you wish you knew then when you were a new real estate agent that you know now?
Oh, that's a great one. Because I never had a clue about the whole concept of goals, setting goals, business plans, or affirmations, or positive questions. I never had any idea about all that, I guess, mind stuff, for lack of a better description. But it's like, goals and goals. And even when I first heard about it, it sounded like hooey to me. It was years before I really embraced it and understood the whole idea of how it affects your well-being, how it affects your self-esteem, and how it affects your results. And I'm embarrassed to say how long it took me to understand that.
Do you have a story behind that? Because it sounds like there was a big transition for you. That was hokey pokey to that's a big deal, and that's something I've got to do because it makes a big difference in my business and my life.
It sure does. Well, because I was always told that you never going to amount to anything. I was did terrible in school. And then in my school, they said, you know what, this kid really should be in the vocational school learning he should be taking the TV repair course at
I can't see you there. Wow.
Yeah, because they don't even fix TVs anymore. But anyway, this kid's never going to go to college. I mean, I would even tell you all the people who said, you're a failure, you're never going to amount to it. And I internalized it all, and I believed it all. So even as I started in real estate, I had all this bad self-image. And then my father didn't mean it, but, he left us, and it was a mess and a disaster. And he had this plumbing business, this plumbing supply business, and his dream was to have his son come into the business with him, even though he left us. And so while I'm starting my real estate company, he's wishing for me to fail. He's hoping for me to fail. He's talking to me about failing because my fallback position had to be selling toilet seats. And with him, and he had a great business, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. So I had to fight that. And I really don't know where the epiphany came from because I tend to be a very slow learner. Sometimes I have to hear things 2, 3, or 4, even 5 times before I finally say, man, I better try this. And so goal setting, I would hear about it, I would take classes with it, and I would say, that's ridiculous. So my self-image was so poor, so bad, so low. that I was afraid to set a goal because not attaining it would just reinforce all the stupid things I believed about myself.
You say that your self-image. You say that your self-image was bad, but you had enough confidence, or maybe you had enough of a calling that you still became a real estate agent despite the fact that no one else did, and despite the fact that your father wanted you to fail subconsciously.
I explained by saying I was too dumb to know any better, and I was too dumb to know that it couldn't work. I just thought it was so easy and so brainless that anybody could do this. I had no idea how difficult it was, or else I might have been selling toilet seats. Or fixing TVs at the vocational school.
That's
anyway,
so true.
I didn't know any better. I started businesses in school, in high school. I had a mail order business. I had a landscaping business.
So you were always an entrepreneur at heart.
Yeah, and I had all my real big business failures in my teens. When I was 16, 17, and 18. I mean, I mowed off my foot in a lawnmower, so that wasn't really good. Landscaping was not my calling. I can't even dance now because all my toes are gone. And I had this mail order clock business when I was 16, and I did okay with it. I was able to buy a lot of tools and learn a lot of great skills, but I wouldn't call it a stellar success. So by the time I got and followed my dream and became a real estate broker, owner, failure didn't scare me because I'd already failed so much.
Wow. And that's so much of it, is being willing to fail and understand that that's part of the learning process.
Yeah.
So speaking of starting all over, if you were starting all over and you just had a couple $100, no connections, no market knowledge, no nothing, just a couple $100, and you wanted to be a real estate agent, and you knew what you know now about how to be successful, what would you do to get started to become a successful real estate agent in your first year?
I'll have a million ideas for you. Number one, you talked about becoming an expert. Really learn your market. Do something that I call mapping your market. So you go to markets you want to be successful in and map it. Go to the town hall and get a giant map from the assessing department that shows every single piece of property on that map and really study it. Learn all the sales of the curve. Learn everything that's on the market there. Learn what things are selling for per foot, per square foot. Figure out some benchmarks for that market. Just immerse yourself and become an expert in that market. Then market that expertise, market it to CPAs, market it to lawyers, market it to trust officers at banks, market it to attorneys who specialize in trust and estates. Those people always need market valuations. Get in with them, start providing complimentary market valuations to them, and pretty soon you will get listings. That's the longer track. Those are basically
you're not going out asking for business. You're going out getting referrals, which is the most powerful way to get business.
Well, no, the most important thing you're doing with them is you're giving first before you expect to receive. You're giving value to them. You are making them look like heroes to their clients by providing this valuation service based upon your expertise and making them look like heroes to their clients by getting these valuation letters that they need every single year on the high end. Every single year in the high end. I just got a call in my car on the way to stop and do this talk with you. Somebody needs a rental analysis for a trust because the owners of the property rent the property from the trust. And the rent goes to the beneficiary so they can pay the expenses on the house and they can escape estate taxes. So, I'm going to do a rental analysis for them. I have a whole template for doing that. So,
you made yourself a valuable resource to them to come back over.
Yeah, but I make them look like a hero to their client because they come up with this thing easily. So there's a long, steady, slow and steady track. Number next is to find an older agent in your marketplace that might become your mentor that you can start doing work with them. Take that couple $100 and say, listen, I know you have a great listing over here in Buckhead or somewhere. I would like to do some marketing. I want to do some mailing. I will do anything on that listing for you. You don't have to pay me a dime. I just want to do some marketing and try to get some buyer clients. Maybe I can find a buyer for your listing. Would you let me do that? Can I do some open houses? You want to take your last $100 and have some custom invitations done and do an open house with someone else's listing. Invite every single neighbor in there. Do a joint venture. Go down to the Tesla store in your neighborhood and talk to the manager and say, hey, I'm going to do an open house in 3 weeks. I want to invite all the neighbors in. It's a really high-end neighborhood. Would you park a couple of Teslas in the driveway and maybe invite some of your clients in too? And I'll use your great cars to bring in all these really wealthy people. Or do it with a wine merchant in your marketplace. And don't talk about wine and cheese. Talk about wine tasting. People in the high end want to be educated They don't want to go out and look like they're getting a free drink. They want to pretend they're getting educated. So talk about fall wine pairings for whatever market you're in, and spend your last few bucks in doing open house invitations, and hand deliver them if you have to, or mail them if you can't do them door to door. But start doing this kind of proactive marketing. So much of real estate is passive marketing. Putting a sign, waiting for a call, putting an ad, waiting for a call, putting it in the MLS, waiting for a call. Do stuff that actually brings people in who you can talk to and start to build your business.
Active marketing.
Proactive, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, proactive. Thank you. So, what is your favorite tool? There's so many. Whether it's technology or whatever it is, what would be your favorite tool to use, and you believe is most effective for real estate agents to be successful?
Well, my own tool is my market preparation checklist, because it's proprietary and I never give it out before a listing contract is signed. I designed a really great cover for it. I've made it into a book. It's called A Tale of Two Houses, and it begins with a story. It's an actual story at the beginning about two homes that came on the market, in my market, facing each other across the body of water. They were both $1 million homes. They both had needed tremendous amounts of work. They both needed new kitchens, new bathrooms, new heating systems, new landscaping, new roof, and new windows. They both needed the same amount of work. And yet one sold in about 4 weeks, and one sold in a year and 4 weeks. What was the difference? Well, the difference is one of the homes really looked loved. And even if it wasn't the right house, when a buyer walked in the front door, you could see on their faces that they would have a sense of well-being and just calmness come over them. Even if the home turned out not to be the right one, so they could feel the love that the deceased owner had for that property. The other one was the opposite. It felt lost. It felt lonely. It felt neglected. And that energy would permeate potential buyers who came through the door, and they just, I don't really even want to see this whole house because I don't need like that. And so I begin with a whole story of A Tale of Two Houses. I'm going to talk about my checklist, which is going to make your home feel loved, so that when a person walks through the front door, even if it's not the right house, they know that the owners love it. They can feel that energy. They feel good in your house, even if it's not the right house for them. I want them, in other words, they can't fall in love with your house unless you're in love with your house. And so basically, everybody wants my checklist. And so other agents, if they want to buy, I sold them for a fortune. But what I did was I created a free book on how to create your own that I just give people, because you know what, it's just better if you make your own anyway rather than just using mine. But anyway, to me, that's my most powerful tool. I really believe it's worth 2 to 4 points of sales price if you follow all the advice I give you in your checklist.
Wow. If
your house doesn't sell, you shouldn't follow my advice. And I've got 4 decades of watching people walk through the front door of a house. And you know, there's decades and then there's decades. I read this great book it was written like, I don't know, 40 years ago. Well, it's called My Life in Advertising. By this wacky guy, Claude Bristol. He was a legend in advertising, half a century ago. He said, people ask me how long I've been in this business. Well, there's 2 ways to answer that. If you look at the clock or the calendar, I've been in it for this many years. But if you look at how much I've done, I've actually been in the business for 100 years. So I said, you know what, that sounds like me, because if the average agent sells 3 homes a year or 6 homes a year, or does this much business, I mean, I've done billions of dollars in sales in my career. Wow. And so if you look at what I've done in my 4 decades, you could argue that I've got 100 years of experience. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller,
at least
this is the experience I took to create this checklist. And there's nothing in here that's expensive. There's nothing in here that's going to break the bank. There's nothing in here that's going to kill you with effort or energy, but it is going to help buyers fall in love with your home. Don't you think it's worth doing that to get into 2 to 4 points of sales price?
Exactly. And in Cape Cod, speaking of your over 100 years of experience, because I know you specialize and you're known in luxury. What is your, but I think you because you're so passionate about what you do, you deliver business to everybody. I get the sense that everybody that you can be of service to, and that of course you can handpick your clients. I mean, your price ranges range from, I've heard you in interviews on $100,000 condo to what I think $20 million homes. Is that right?
Correct.
And how do you, because you're such an experienced agent and so renowned and so well known, I would just love to know, how do you select your clients? Do you let them select you, or do there people that you say no to? And how do you do that? And how do you decide that?
That's a funny question. I have this fantasy. I'm a fantasizer. I'm a daydreamer. And for a long time, I've had this fantasy about a one-sentence listing presentation. And so I've never actually delivered the one-sentence listing presentation, but metaphorically, it's always playing in the back of my mind during a listing presentation. And I think it must be coming true. It's basically a one-sentence listing presentation is this. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right, here it comes. So, tell me why I should list your house.
Oh, am I giving you the one-sentence listing presentation?
No, that's
I'm asking.
One-sentence listing presentation.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's it. I was waiting for a sentence. Not a question is a sentence. That's great.
Well,
so have you ever done it?
I caught you off guard.
You did. You totally caught me off guard. I love it.
Yeah, the sentence is the question. Tell me why I should take your listing. Most real estate agents are like puppies begging for a treat. They're up on their hind legs, their tongues out, and they're going, waiting for the treat.
We were just talking about that before your interview, weren't we, Isaac?
Maybe if you're more like a cat.
Yeah.
More like a cat. Like, I don't really care about this. Is there any animal more detached from the outcome than a cat who could care less if you've had it or not with a cat? I don't really like cats, but I just had this thought that maybe at a listing appointment, if you're more like a cat than a puppy. And you know what? Maybe I'll let you pat me, maybe I won't. But that's basically sellers have to be motivated. I don't really care about price range that much. I mean, obviously it's better to sell more expensive property. But I think the story I told, I'm really bad at memory, so I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. So I'm close, but not all the way there. But the month I sold my most expensive property, which is over 19 million, which is our market doesn't go as high as other markets do. That's still the record.
So that's huge.
Yeah, but anyway, the same month I sold them for, I think it was like around 147,000 or 150,000, somewhere in there. And people say, well, how can you do such a broad spectrum at the same time? Don't people get upset? And no one's ever gotten upset. And my feeling is that the little old lady who had the $147,000 house needed me more than the lady who had the $19 million house, because the lady with the $19 million home, she had 5 other ones around. She only used it for 3 weeks a year, and she just couldn't use it anymore. And it didn't change her life one bit. The lady with the $147,000 house was living with one of her kids who was really ill, and that sale allowed her to have the kind of care in the last month of her life that she otherwise never could have had. It was life-changing for her. It made her last month on this planet better.
Wow.
It was life-changing for her.
Which reminds us.
Important for, it was important to get that last 2 to 4 points of sales price.
And it's that that purpose behind what we do is we're in a business that's competitive, and it's a competitive and it's fun, and I'd love to do those. And remember, I love to hear that, is that we are making a difference in people's lives, and how important it is that we're just the way you're of service to people, and remembering to be of service to people that we can be of service to.
Exactly.
So I'm going to close this out with 2 more questions. One of them you've answered, but I want to be sure I've got the answer. You gave us the book about my life in advertising. Is that the one book, or what is the one book you recommend real estate agents read, if there's just one?
Oh my goodness. Just one book?
Just one. You can cheat and mention some, but give us your one final decision, the one you would recommend.
I love books. You know what? Just read anything.
Just read.
Just read. Read like crazy. If you read a book a month, if you read 2 books a year, you're ahead of 95% of all people on the planet. If you can try to read a book a week, which is what I try to do, but I don't always succeed. I'm reading a book out and slogging through. And you're just way ahead of everybody else. But there's so many great books up there. I don't know if I can narrow down.
Well, while we're on this and you're narrowing it down, we need to at least mention the books you've written, and perhaps they should read those. I know you've got, I think you've written at least a couple of books about luxury real estate.
3 about luxury real estate and 1 about a dog. Yeah.
So what are those books while we've got you?
Well, Selling Luxury Homes is a book for real estate agents who want to break into the luxury real estate market. And you can buy it on Amazon, or you can, Google me and find me and buy it for me. The other 2 books I wrote are for consumers. Having dealt with rich people all these years, I thought it would be helpful to the average home buyer or the average home seller to really know what are 12 things that I can copy that rich people did and make me better when I go to buy or sell a house. So my books are called 12 Secrets Luxury Home Buyers Know That You Can Use, or 12 Secrets Luxury Home Sellers Know That You Can Use. And they're really written for consumers to help them make better decisions when they buy and sell real estate. And then my other book is called A Dog's Guide to Life. They're all on Amazon.
Oh, fun. What was the name of the last one?
A Dog's Guide to Life. That book. And the funny thing of it is, I wrote the Selling Luxury Homes book to help my real estate business, to build a moat around my real estate business. So I can say that I wrote the book on luxury real estate. But I've actually gotten more business from the dog book than any other thing I've done. And that book I wrote by accident. I wrote it in one night for my kids when the dog died, never expecting to publish it. It got my office made Kinko copies of it and gave me 20 copies of it from Kinko's for Christmas. And they got handed around, and then the publisher called me and said, I want to publish your book. I thought it was a joke.
I love that. And that's just a testament to the character. I'm always talking about character and competence, and that shows your character. And people, that's just as valuable as your competence, is people knowing and people love your character. And that's a lot of where our value is. And that's where Zillow just can't seem to replace us.
Right.
So with that, what is the one thing that you would want someone listening to this, or our listeners listening to this, to take away from this interview? What's the one thing you would want people to take away from this interview?
I'm going to take the easy way out and just say you can get anything you want from this business if you just help enough other people get what they want. And if you just ask that question to yourself all day long, what is in the best interest of my client, you will do great.
That's the question to ask. I love that. Well, thank you so much. Tell us how we can get in touch with you, your website, contact information, so to let everybody know how to reach out to you and how to find you.
It's easy, jackcotton.com, JECKCOTTON.com.
I think we could do that. That's easy to find. Jack, thank you so much for being with us. That was a fun interview, and really, as always, informative. And you've always got a new angle and a new spin on things, and just eye-opening on just, kind of having that shift in our paradigm a little bit and how we look at the business and how we think about it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Right. Thank you, Jack.